The woman was in the restroom when a pair of leather shoes suddenly appeared under the door. She thought the man had mistakenly entered the women's restroom and was about to warn him, but the other party frantically started shaking the door, trying to break in. She was terrified and begged for mercy in a low voice. Fortunately, after a moment, the footsteps gradually faded away. She cautiously opened the door and looked around, finding no one. She finally breathed a sigh of relief. The female protagonist, Xiao Ko, after a big argument with her mother, decided to elope with her boyfriend, Xiao Shuai. The two packed their bags and headed straight for Los Angeles, planning to try their luck in Hollywood. Shortly after setting off, Xiao Shuai suddenly had the idea of making a short film to hone his acting skills. The two immediately agreed and drove their car into a small grove by the roadside. Then they began their scene. After a moment of intimacy, the two got back in the car and continued their journey. At this moment, a pickup truck suddenly rushed towards them. Xiao Shuai reacted quickly, sharply turned the steering wheel, narrowly avoiding a car accident. He angrily jumped out of the car and cursed loudly, but the pickup truck driver ignored him completely, stepped on the gas and drove away. He was clearly an inconsiderate driver. The two could only suppress their anger and continue their journey. Along the way, Xiaoka needed to use the restroom, so Xiao Shuai pulled over. The car stopped next to a public restroom, but as soon as Xiaoka walked in, she frowned. The place was full of dirt and grime, dilapidated and run down. She had to force herself to endure the unpleasantness and relieve herself. As she turned to leave, she suddenly heard strange rustling sounds coming from behind a nearby iron door. She thought it was a mouse and didn't pay it any mind, but when she walked out of the restroom, she found that Xiao Shuai was nowhere to be seen. A wave of panic washed over her. She thought her boyfriend had abandoned her. She frantically pulled out her phone to make a call, but found there was no signal. The nearby public telephone didn't even have a phone line. Then she noticed that the wall next to her was covered with missing person posters, from yellowed old papers to new ones, layer upon layer, showing traces of decades. She realized that this place might be a human trafficking den. Xiaoka trembled with fear. She ran to a nearby RV and knocked on the door, but after knocking for a long time, no one answered. Seeing that it was getting dark, she had no choice but to run to the highway and try to flag down a car for help. But the car that came was the same pickup truck from before. The driver not only didn't slow down when he saw her, but instead slammed on the accelerator and sped straight towards her.